Welcome back, golfers. Today we're going to talk about pelvic sway in the golf swing. And we'll get into that and figure out if it's good or bad, and whether you should be implying it in your golf swing or you should be trying to avoid it in your golf swing. So my last video I did was on standing up in the golf swing. Another area where most golfers associate as a bad thing. But in the video we talked about how we should look at that as something we actually want to do in our golf swing, but the real thing we need to work on was side bend. So if you haven't watched that video, go check it out. I'm going to put a link up in the corner. Really important one to watch. So standing up in the backswing happens hopefully very naturally. Most of you don't even know that you're doing it. So at posture, we're into this position, creating our spine angle, and then you can see that leads into where the hips go down the thigh, and that creates an angle there from where our hips are sitting. And as we take our backswing, if we kept into that posture, we would end up being way over here on our trail side. So in the golf swing, we actually stand up on that backswing. Our hips actually move this direction forward. So we have less forward lean into our hips. Some of you back bend, which is something we want to stay away from, but we want to get up to fairly neutral to fairly tall in our backswing. And this is where hip swaying starts to come into play of how to get into that position. So as we take it back, what we want to be able to do is turn into our right glute. And when that happens, our hips are going to turn away and actually move and sway a little bit into our trail side. Almost all the best players in the world have a little bit, not much, maybe an inch or two of hip sway to their trail side as they take the club back. And what that allows to happen is that standing up position as you move back into your backswing. So the hips will sway back a little bit, and then you'll be standing up more vertical, which allows for a taller position, your hands to get higher, your body to be in an easier place to now drive energy down through our compression, which then will allow us to transition more energy up through the finish, which is the other place we talked about standing up through in the last video. So check that one out. But we're going to focus on that backswing. So most of you do not want to sway your hips. So we don't want this movement through the backswing because you can see it drops the hip line further down. If I kept doing that and I turned, I'd actually end up in back bend position, which we don't want to have happen. But what we do want to have happen is we're shifting weight and we feel that trail leg basically stay in the same spot, and we shift into that glute. So you can watch that right leg, and in order to keep it right there, I do have to shift the pelvis a little bit into that side. But what I don't want to see is if this is where my line of my body's at, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see the body come backwards, because what's happening, if you watch my tail position, if you turn and your butt is turning this way, your tailbone's turning towards the target, what's going to happen is you're going to load energy into our lead leg. And that's going to press energy, that's making your lead side very heavy, and you're going to lean the wrong direction. So your first transitional move will then be across the body, rather than what we want to have happen when we're in our trail side is a little side abdominal crunch in our trail side. So where that abdominal crunch will come in there, so we use the ground to help open up our lead side, and then we can drive on through. So how we use the ground is important here. How we get energy into the ground is very important here. And that's where that little sway of the hips is going to come in to help us. So watching the tailbone again. So that first move, we want to feel those hips pushing back into that trail glute and moving behind us in this direction, not laterally, straight back behind us. So you'll feel the same pressure as if you went lateral, but you're going to feel it now going back behind us, and the hips will shift back just a little bit. Don't want to see, like I said, is the hip to move towards the target, this direction. We want it to move back and stabilize into that leg. So it's the same idea as if you're going to take a ball and you're going to load up into that trail side to throw it. So right there, that same feeling. And when it happens in the sequence of the backswing, it's going to be very early. So if I think of when I first move energy into that backswing, into that trail glute, it's going to happen right there, right there. So before my hands get to my right pocket, I'm already pushing energy and driving my hips back into that right glute, my trail glute. And then that will start us out in the right spot, pushing energy into that ground. And to do a self-check when we're doing this movement, you still want gravitational pull with your body to the target. So as I transition back and I push energy into my trail side and into that ground, if I picked up that leg long enough, I still want to fall back towards my target, which is that direction. So we're still have gravitational pull towards our target, but at the same time, we're pushing energy down into the ground and backing up at the same time. So we're pushing energy into the ground, but still getting nice and tall into that backswing. And then we can use that energy that we've pressed into the ground into our trail leg to stabilize our trail leg and open up our lead side. There, and then open up our lead side. So for all of you that like videotaping your swing, your other place to look at is if you're not doing this correctly, what you're going to probably see, especially if you're a trail foot jumper, is the trail knee shifting forward and squaring up the knees, rather than what I want you to be able to see is your lead knee pushing back behind you. So I want to see that knee going back. I don't want to see the trail knee moving forward to square up the knees. So that's another place to look at what is moving, and that's all dependent on pressure in the ground. If your pressure is in your lead side, the trail side will spin forward. If your pressure is in your trail side, your lead side will open up, which is what we want to see, because the hip will then work back behind us, rounding us out, which will keep our spine angle coming through, because this side can stay low, this side works back and tall, which we talked about in the last video, and then we can stand up through our finish with side bend and keep our level. So a little hip sway in the backswing. Drive on through to the finish. All right, so the first drill we're gonna do is just a takeaway drill to make it so we're feeling our body doing the right stuff, the right movements, right rotation, and putting the weight in the right spot on the takeaway. So first drill you're gonna do is without a ball. And we're just gonna set up and we're just gonna practice taking the club back. And as we do, I want you to pick up your lead foot. So we're just going to take a quick little movement back, and as you're doing that, push that hip back, and you're just going to go back and then put your foot back down. Back, put your foot back down. So you're feeling that stability and then back down. What we don't want to feel is a lateral movement. I don't want to see this, I want to see that. So those hips are opening up on that backswing. So just there, just feeling that takeaway and driving energy all the way back into that trail heel. So that's the first movement. From there, we're going to grab a golf ball and we're going to kind of take that idea up a little bit higher. So we're going to go up to our full part of our backswing, doing the same idea. We're going to do that little march move. We're going to pick up our foot. We're gonna put it back down and we're gonna move to finish. So we're gonna go to the top and we're gonna pick up the lead foot, put it back down, and then work to finish. And just try to make it rhythmical. Don't try to create too much power using muscles. Just let the rhythm of the motion create the movement in the body. And what you should feel is your lead side will open up easier when you do that. Okay, let's do it one more time so you can watch the timing of it. So right at the start, we're pushing energy back, picking up the foot, putting it back down, and then working on through. Before you release the arms, that foot will be on the ground. So you can see that gets those hips shifting to our lead glute, engaging our lead glute. As soon as that heel hits the ground, push up through it. Drive energy towards the target. Remember, always focusing on where you're going, which is our target out there, not on the golf ball, and move towards our target. Let's move on to the third drill. So the third drill is just an extension of what we just did. So instead of the full lift of the foot, what we're gonna do is just lift the lead heel. And I want that lift to happen to the inside edge of that toe, not forward. I want it to work to the inside edge, and I want that lead foot to feel light. If it feels heavy, you're probably falling back into that foot. So lead heel lift, squish it, swing it, and work on through. Okay, fourth part of this drill, we're just step stoning up to a normal swing. Now, if you want to leave your heel on the ground, you have to feel it more internally. The lead foot is still going to get light. We're going to turn into that trail foot right away, right into that glute, right there. First move will be opening up the body and driving through. So we're using that ground, that trail side to open up that lead side. Golfers, if you get anything out of this, you like what I've been doing, been watching my channel, think about hitting that subscribe button. It really helps out my channel to grow so we can get this information out to more golfers. Again, if your feet aren't working, your swing's not working. Catch you guys next time.